I was just going to say.
Yes, yes, I am.
Oh, go ahead.
There we go. Okay. We don't have you by video, so what I'll do is, can everybody hear Evan?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, we hear him.
Hello.
Trying to make sure they can hear you. Good. Okay, Evan, why don't you tell us what you guys are doing out in Indiana?
Well, right now, we're just wrapping up our strategy meeting for the night. And we're looking at some action coming this week, early this week. On Tuesday, we have a Senate hearing on SB 539. That's the big manufacturer restrictions, requirements, pharmaceutical-grade facilities, casino-grade security, and basically banning e-liquid manufactured anywhere but inside Indiana. So we've been working with the senator who authored that bill to try to basically limit that down to some reasonable things like not selling to minors, child-proof caps, safety seals, things like that, and giving them the way of recognizing businesses that are involved in the industry so that they can look for the bad players that are apparently there's just an outbreak of e-liquid manufacturers putting illicit drugs in their e-liquids. I've never seen it, and the prosecutors say nobody's been prosecuted or charged, but apparently it's just, oh man, happening on every street corner. So we're meeting trying to make it. We're trying to make reasonable accommodations while still protecting the vaping business and protecting vapors' rights here in Indiana. And the next Senate hearing is Tuesday morning. It's limited testimony. Basically, this bill went through committee once before, was narrowly passed. It passed 6-4. The committee said that there were a lot of problems with the bill, that it needed to be amended. It went to the Senate floor, and for some reason on the Senate floor, it was kicked back to the Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee. So it was recommitted to committee, and they're going to be listening to the financial and economical impact this bill will have on Indiana. And so we have to limit our discussion to that topic, and we're only going to be able to have 1 or 2 people speak in opposition to the bill. So, and then later that day, we actually meet with Senator Yoder again to sit down and go over additional amendments to the bill. So it's an ongoing process with that one piece of legislation, and that's just one of the 5 bills. Now, actually, there are 6 bills dealing with vaping and vaping businesses in Indiana. So it's a long struggle. Every day is a new fight and a new battle and a new legislator that we got to hold hands with, and so it's an ongoing fight.
Can you tell us a little bit about the group that you guys have formed and who's in it and how you think it's going there in Indiana?
So there was a group here in Indiana called the Hoosier Vapors, and they have a council that's made up of advocates, and they successfully have fought some local ordinances banning vaping in Indiana. They've been around for, I believe, 3 or 4 years now, but this was the big test for the organization. And it kind of rallied the business owners in the state and the advocates in the state to come together as one unified force so that we don't have everybody going off doing their own thing. We have a unified voice, kind of like the way a union goes in with collective bargaining. We have a group of core individuals that represent each segment of the industry, from manufacturers to retail establishments to mod makers to retailers who also mix their own e-liquids, down to just regular advocates. We've got distributors. So we're all represented here at our strategy table where we talk about how each section of the code impacts each business industry. So no one's getting screwed, basically. So, we have that organization where we're all sitting down and working on this together, and then we go back to our large body of group of over 100 stores in Indiana and kind of let them know what's going on, let them ask questions, let them feel comfortable with the work that we're doing, representing the industry as a whole. So that's what we've done. We've got a lobbyist working in the House, and then we've got me kind of spearheading the Senate movement, and then we've just got regular communications with the business owners and the advocates so that everybody knows not only what's going on, but what they can do to help in the fight.
And if somebody's wanting to get in touch with you guys, what's the best way for them to do it?
You can go to the website, HoosierVapors.com, or visit on Facebook, just Hoosier Vapors on Facebook as well. That's about the easiest way. You can also email me directly if you'd like to. I can't believe I'm going to broadcast this on the internet, but it's evan@liberationvape.com.
We'll get that put in the chat real quick. Now, you guys are a mixture of both vendors and vapors, is that correct?
That is correct.
Have you divided those guys out into any types of action groups or anything like that?
Not really, just because we need to be so unified, and our messages have to be in sync that we really can't have people split up, calling on their own specific micro message. We all need to be kind of tailored to the same thing so that when a legislator is getting called, they're hopefully receiving 10 or 15 calls from their district, and they're getting the exact same message over and over again. So, separating into those little niches, sometimes you have that delay in communication that just really can't have happen. We have to be just Johnny on the spot with everything. Like, we don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure that the House hearings are going to happen Wednesday, but I won't know until tomorrow afternoon when the schedule comes out at the State House. Well, as soon as I know, I need to be able to broadcast that to as many people as possible that they need to be at the State House on Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. I don't want people to show up there at 8:30 a.m. if the hearing's not going to happen, but I need as much time as possible to get that message out if it happens.
When you guys are doing these, when you bring people in like that, are you working with people so you guys get a bit more of a direct message, giving people certain areas that they should be talking about?
When you working with people, what do you mean?
Helping them understand what topics they need to be on and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the key things that we do is, especially out to shop owners, is we send out almost a verbatim thing. Say this if you feel comfortable saying this. And the more comfortable you feel, the kind of more off script you can go. But we give you the exact talking points of what needs to be hit. Same with getting emails, things like that. That way you're, not saying something wrong, if you will. Because sometimes it's not saying the right thing, it's not saying the wrong thing.
Oh yeah, we know very well what you're talking about there. Some people, in their passion to try to get their point across, seem to take a little bit of liberty with the truth.
Right. Well, it's not even so much that. It's you may say something thinking you're demonstrating how the industry self-regulates, and you may actually point to something that actually hurts our discussions and negotiations, because it's then, oh, well, I didn't know that had happened. So there's little things like that, or, pointing out something that somebody else is doing that they haven't corrected yet. That's not a good idea. But that happens, just because you're zealous in presenting that we're a good industry that is concerned with consumer safety. We're concerned about what our our customers are using and how they're using it, that we may inadvertently say something that is going to be misconstrued by the legislature.
Yeah, we see that very commonly. There's a lot of times when we're reviewing testimony where you'll see someone say something and just look at it and go, "Did he really say that?" No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's always, I had a couple different legislators ask me. They would say, what are things that you would agree with in this bill? And I would say absolutely nothing. And they would say, well, come on. And I would say, well, the industry has proven that we can self-regulate. As an industry, we've turned to, accepting child safety caps, tamper-proof seals, putting the milligram strength or dosages on our bottles. These are things as an industry that we did on our own that we weren't told to do or forced to do. We just did it because it was good business for our consumers. So I don't think we need a government bureaucracy, and we certainly don't need 50 different government bureaucracies dictating the minutia of how we run our day-to-day operations. So I always say, no, there's nothing that I really like about these laws. And they say, well, you would agree that some regulation is needed, right? No, not at all. I think we're doing a pretty good job as an industry growing. We've only been around for a few years, and it's only really started to take off. The soda industries didn't have immediate regulations, and, in every industry, you have those growing pains in the beginning. Yeah, in our early Wild West days, maybe we weren't doing things as not kosher as we probably could have been, but we learned, and we learned from our consumers. They told us, hey, we don't want you doing it like this, and we went, oh, okay, great, sure. We'll put that on there. That makes sense. Great. So we've done that kind of on our own. And industries will naturally do that. And I fear that the image of a legislator that need to create those safeguards will be damaging to the industry and will lead people to continue buying their, traditional, crappy, horrible cigarette. That's the unintended consequence of regulating a business out of existence is you're going to have, in Indiana, we have over 1 million smokers. I would like to see them all healthy and happy tomorrow. But if they're going to regulate the vaping industry out of business, they're going to keep on smoking. And they're going to continue on dying and getting illnesses, and, that's going to keep happening. You got to be careful about being tricked into agreeing to something that isn't necessarily the best thing.
I hear you there. A lot of people, we frequently have gone to a similar stance when we're talking with people who want us to list off those things in a bill that we agree with, and there's very frequently nothing that we agree with at all.
Right.
Tell me
I said, one legislator said to me, would you agree with these little regulations? Would you agree with them? And I said, why do you need them if we're already doing them? Yeah. Why would it need to be a law if it's something that we're already doing? That doesn't make sense. But
tell me, how about the growth in Indiana? Tell me how you guys have been growing. That interests us because you guys, you came. I saw you guys on my radar about 2.5 months ago, and I understand you guys are up well over 100 vendors now.
Yeah, we have. When I first got involved with the council, beginning mid-January, and kind of helping politically as a vendor and as somebody that has political experience, I think the contact list was 34-ish confirmed businesses, around 60-ish that were unconfirmed, and now we're in contact with over 100 different vendors and different segments of the industry, and that's just vendors. That's not even our advocates and vapors in general. So it's been really impressive, and also we know that there are businesses we're not in contact with. We know for a fact. We've seen them. So there's a lot more businesses in Indiana around vaping than I actually even thought. At one point in time, somebody asked me how many vape shops were there in Indiana, and I said, oh, I don't know, about 60. And, now I know God, I wouldn't even want to put a number on it. It could easily be over 200. And that's not counting, of course it's not counting the gas stations and things like that kind of sell vaping products, but not really. But yeah, that's massive growth. And the other thing is you see in some other areas where no one's coming together. You see in some of the other states where they're looking down at some really awful, horrible, anti-vaping legislation, and you go, where are the shop owners? Where are the advocates? You see the photos of their events, and you see 10 people. Well, hell, in our strategy meeting, we had 15 to 20. And that was a closed meeting. That was just sitting around the table going over the bills with a highlighter. But then you look at, our rallies, and we get over 200 people in a state house during the middle of the day on a Thursday. We were there all day because it was an all-day thing. So the shop owners have really come together. We've got 2 people sitting in a room right now who are direct competitors with each other in a small town. They are each other's competition, and they are working hand in hand to protect each other's businesses right now. So once this is all done, they may go back to throwing rocks at each other. But for right now, they're working hand in hand to protect each other. So the only way these things can be beaten is if we come together as a community and join as vendors and advocates, put our time and resources in beating this back. No one's going to do it for you.
Let me put you on the spot here with a question, Evan.
Right.
We've seen these groups start to form in other states, and to tell you the truth, it's very embarrassing for an advocate to look at the response that we see in other states because they just don't get it. They don't ever come together. Now, the spot that I'm going to put you on is what made Indiana different. Tell me so I can go do it everywhere else in the United States.
Well, I think this is going to sound corny, but it's the good old Hoosier drive. People here in Indiana, when we start something, we finish it. We see it all the way through. And we're the type of people we live and let live here, in Indiana. We don't care what you're doing as long as you're not doing it to me. Well, they're doing it to me. And the last thing I'm going to do is sit by and watch as you're doing it to me. And everybody here, the shop owners, very quickly learned, they saw it, that if they sat by and did nothing, their businesses would be closed July 1st. It was very clear. It's not a maybe, it's not an if, it could happen. July 1st, if this legislation passed the way it was introduced, they would have to close the doors. And they didn't want to do that. And it wasn't just because it's all about the money, it's because of the community. When you see a shop owner who could be making a lot more money if they charged more, honestly, is in it because they're helping that first person that comes in that says, my mom died from COPD, and I'm a 2-pack-a-day smoker. I don't want to do this anymore. And they can help them become an ex-smoker. That's what they're doing it for. And to think that the state is saying, we don't want you doing that in Indiana, pissed some people off. And, you're trying to take my store away. You're trying to take this away from Hoosiers. Not going to happen. So it was really just the decision by the individual to say, you're not going to do this to me. Not here, not in Indiana.
That's great. I'm glad you guys did come together, and I hope that we can be successful as we help other groups start to come together. But you've pointed out to one big.
You just got to look at it. You just got to say, do you want to keep vaping? Do you want the state to take this away from you? Because if you don't, get off your butt now and get active. Don't wait to the day that the bill is filed Get up and start fighting now, because I promise you, they're coming. You may not know it, you may not see it yet, but they're working on the bill right now.
Yeah, we've been
And they're
saying it for
hoping
years.
that you're going to be apathetic and just sit on your butt. We know that when we had a meeting, the senator said, I didn't think this was going to be a big deal. I thought this was going to be filed and over. And it wasn't. Now he has to have multiple meetings with us. Now it's multiple hearings. You know, why? Because we went there. Because we organized. Because it wasn't 10 people standing outside blowing clouds at the building. It was 200 people inside all day giving their story and saying, I vape and I vote. And that's what it's going to take. You can't wait for somebody else to do it. You have to get up and fight today. And you have to fight before they're on your front page. You have to fight while they're planning.
Okay, when if a vapor or a vendor comes to you guys and wants to join with you guys and support you guys, do you guys have a membership due or anything like that?
Not at this time. Nope.
How about a suggested donation for vendors?
I don't think there's one. I know we're raising money to help pay for the grassroots effort and the lobbyists. But whatever they want to give, they can give. If they want to donate towards raffles and helping get people from point A to point B, that's a big help. Just reach out to us and let us know what you want to do, how you want to help, and how you can help, and we'll hook you up in the right place.
Great. And then one more thing is that I wanted to ask you was, you've got a guy from CASA that's in the room with us that is on our show, and you've got, of course, the people from the militia. What can we do to help you out?
CASA has done a great job with helping us get those emails out and those calls to action. That's such an amazing thing, and it saves us time. We didn't have to build a system to track where each person lives and getting them in contact with their individual legislator. That's been a huge help. Plus, the depth of information and resources that we have from CASA has just been amazing. There's a lot of research that's posted on the website under the resources tabs that has helped us in educating our state legislature. And I encourage everybody to take full advantage of that information being there and sharing those, studies with your legislators, especially even locally. And then, the militia, you guys are just pounding it out and telling everybody, what we're doing here in Indiana. And I think the important thing is people need to hear that we're fighting here in Indiana. And while we're not getting 100% victory, we're at the table, and we are protecting our businesses and our rights as vapors, and they can do it too. They just have to get up and start fighting, and by hearing those stories through the militia, I think helps inspire people to know that it's not a hopeless cause, that you can get up, you can fight, and you can win.
Well, Evan, I personally want to thank you guys for stepping forward and doing the right thing here. I know it takes a lot of time, and I know it takes a ton of effort to do it, and your efforts are really appreciated by myself and the board of the militia. I'm going to open this up to Robin and to Alex. You guys got any questions for him before he leaves?
No, I'm good.
I
don't have anything.
Alex, you got anything?
Not so much a question as, first of all, anything, you already know, anything we can do to help, obviously, drop us a line, board@casa.org. That goes to myself, Julie, and Jan, so that's the best way to get in touch with us. And then, and I think we were on a phone call earlier, a couple weeks ago, so nice to meet you again. And then, of course, keep up the great work. It's inspiring to watch Indiana. I think I watched a video that somebody posted from the State House, and I got chills. I actually got a little misty. So it's really incredible to watch what you guys are doing, and I hope that the rest of the states take a page from your efforts.
Well, we appreciate that, and we hope that that hits home for people, that you can do it, and you can hear from legislators here that they knew nothing about this and would have been a yes vote. And because they heard from us and they heard from their constituents and they saw us out there in the hallway and they keep hearing from us, they're a no vote. And that wouldn't have happened if we weren't there, if we didn't show up. And we had to show up in big numbers to show that it's all across the state of Indiana.
That's great. Well, a lot of people like to approach this with a little bit of venom, and when you got these legislators that are making laws against us, that we need to be looking forward on curtailing their efforts by removing them from office and things like that. But I think right now what we all need to focus at is getting to the table and getting the discussion started. That's where we need to be, and I think you guys are in a good spot in that respect.
I work in politics, and let me tell you something. Fighting to get somebody unseated from office, there's a 90% chance that you will be reelected to office. It is very uncommon for someone to be beat in an election. It doesn't happen very often, honestly. You are much better off making sure that you are at the table ahead of time than trying to go back later and put somebody in that seat so that you can try to change the law. And even if you did unseat that person, you know how unlikely it would be to repeal a state law as a freshman legislator? It's virtually impossible. So your best bet, honestly, is to try to stop it before it starts by being at the State House ahead of time. If you can't get a lobbyist to represent your organization, do it now. Build advocacy groups. Show up at rallies. Be respectful. But be present, be there, and show that you're not, the wild, wild west, that you're not doing anything wrong. But start preparing for a fight now and try to preempt it. And then if it comes and it happens, make sure you're prepared to be at the table to work with that legislator. If you can get if we were looking at the legislation that was originally submitted, every business in Indiana would be closed July 1st. As it stands right now, the bill is still miles away from anything we would be willing to accept. But at least, as of right now, it would be a nightmare scenario, but it's not as bad as it was.
That's great. I'm very proud of what you guys have done there. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying we've still got time to continue to work on it. So there's still, we've still got steps in the process, but we're part of the process. We're not just outside screaming at the building.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what you guys have been able to accomplish to this point. It's amazing. We need to see this happening in all the states, and that those dialogues need to be started where we are actually talking to these people and getting things done right.
Mm-hmm. And look at Tennessee. Tennessee had a legislator that introduced a bill to actually make sure that vaping was excluded from tobacco legislation, that it was not a tobacco product. That is beautiful to me. And look at Tennessee. What do they have? They have the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association. They're organized. They're working. And that wouldn't have happened if they weren't there.
And to this point, you've got Florida, you've got Tennessee, you've got Georgia that's just started to come together, Michigan that's coming together, California's starting to organize, Utah has organized, Minnesota's organized, and been organized for the past 3 years. But we're still waiting on the other states to step up to the plate. We're barely a fifth of the way there.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort, but I want to be able to vape in Illinois. I want to be able to go to a store to my neighbor state and not feel like a criminal. I want to be able to travel across the country and not feel like I'm, a smoker, because I'm not. And I don't want to be treated like one. But it's going to require all of the states working hard to educate our legislators and then to fight back on these, protectionist bills for big tobacco.
Great. Well, I've got a few more seconds. If you got any parting words you want to give to our audience, I'd appreciate it.
Visit us at HoosierVapors.com and on Facebook, Hoosier Vapors, and get up and get active. This is about you, and this is about your rights. It's going to take you and not somebody else to fight for them.
Well, we do appreciate it. And again, you have my personal thanks and the board as well from the militia. We all are very proud of what you guys have done down there. And please, 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 if you need any help, just scream. We'll get some help.
Hey, and I'm looking forward, I know a bunch of us are looking forward to coming up and seeing you guys at Vape in the Fort.
I'll be there.
Robin
Yep,
will
I'll
be
be
there.
Yeah.
Me and Fred and me. Yep. Make sure you
Looks like it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it should be.
And we'll be there.
Good. Be nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, Evan.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.